Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another pinball repair video for you today. Now, if you haven't been watching, we're working on this old Stern Stingray pinball machine. And since the Sterns and the Bally's were pretty much identical as far as the electronics go, we have been filming video after video after video of us fixing this thing so that hopefully it will help other people fix their Bally or Stern back in the day. We filmed a whole ton of these videos in the past on other machines, and people seemingly never get enough of them. So here's another one. So on the first video, we looked at the game, figured out what kind of condition it was in, and then we worked on the rectifier board and the transformer. On the second video, we worked on the solenoid driver. Now the rectifier board and transformer are the same in all of the early Bally's and all of the early Sterns, are pretty much the same. On the second video, we worked on the solenoid driver board. The solenoid driver board is the same in all the early Sterns and all the early Bally's. So I think there's like 100 different machines this thing goes in, right? And so we fixed that on the second video. On the third video, we worked on the MPU that had horrible, horrible alkaline damage to it from the battery. We fixed it all up and got it running. The game is actually up and running right now. I think we even had a phantom display start working in the middle of the night. I don't think it was working last time, but maybe something else was going on. So in the last video, we fixed the MPU. So now in this video, we are going to work on the lamp driver board and the displays. We've done several boards on display, several videos on displays before, and several videos on the lamp driver board before. But hey, in our job, a lot of times we do the same thing over and over again. So as we're working through this Stingray, we're running into the same things we always run into. So we figured, let's film it anyway. People might enjoy it. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out this lamp driver board and start looking at it. Now, I also wanted to mention right at the beginning of this video that if you haven't heard, we have started a second channel that has nothing to do with arcade games or pinball machines. It's called My Brother Donnie, because my brother Donnie is pretty crazy, and he decided he was going to start filming all of his crazy hijinks that he encounters seemingly on a daily basis. So go check out My Brother Donnie. Me and him are on there right now. We bought an old mobile home that's tore all to crap, and we're fixing it all up, and it's pretty fun. So go check it out. There's a link down below, I believe, or you can find it on our main channel page. It's called My Brother Donnie. Go check that out. But I'm gonna pull out this lamp driver board, and we're going to take it in the back room and look at it and see what we can do to get it up and running. So here is the lamp driver board, and here's the problem that you run into with the lamp driver boards. Unfortunately, they're situated in the cabinet, usually, not always, just below the MPU board, and the battery mounts right there. So what happens is the battery starts leaking alkaline after it's been in storage for a while, and the alkaline starts dripping down all over this freaking board. And so you end up with a board that has alkaline damage on it, but has no battery on it. So unfortunately, these boards would get ruined even though they don't have a battery on them. It's just the battery in proximity was close to them. So this one here has some damage on it for sure. So basically the signals from the MPU come in here on this connector. Now if you look, that connector is actually in pretty good shape. That is not corrosion you're seeing, that's a reflection. So that connector is in pretty good shape. Okay, and then the signals come through these resistors, and they talk to these 4 chips. And these 4 chips, let me see if I can get you a part number. What do you think about that? I can't. It's unreadable. Let's see if it's readable on one of these other ones. A lot of these are Motorola's. Motorola would put their own part numbers on stuff, so you can't really tell. So it is a MC14514B, which may be actually the part number, I don't know. But whenever Motorola puts a part number on something, a lot of times it's different than the industry standard part number. And the 7918 under it probably stands for the 18th week of 1979 that chip was manufactured. So that's what we're looking at. But anyway, it's some kind of decoder. So signal comes in, talks to these 4 chips. Okay? So this one looks pretty good. Wow, wow, wow. That one is completely destroyed, along with a few chips around it. I mean, a few resistor traces around it. This one looks pretty good. And this one looks pretty good. Now, why did that one get messed up so bad? I don't know. It could just be that whatever was dripping literally was physically dripping off the board and landing there or something. I don't know. So those 4 chips, once they do their thing, they talk to these. Same thing, MC14050 it says. With a date possibly of December 1977. These are really frustrating because you get this situation where this one's perfect. This one's perfect. This one's perfect. So you've got chips from 1977 that still work fine. And then you end up with one that's just destroyed. Right, and then it jumps over and it talks to all of these little transistors. I think they're called SCRs, silicone controlled rectifiers. Now I may have that wrong, but I think they are SCR. I just may have it wrong what they stand for. But you see that some of those also have corrosion. And again, there's no battery on this board. All of this is from the battery above it dripping on it. You can kind of tell, like see how I'm letting the light hit it? See how you can see the stuff that's kind of drained down the board? Isn't that crazy? And then it's kind of pooled at the bottom of the board, which has messed up the bottom few traces. So at first glance, it doesn't look like it's all that bad. You think, well, yeah, that chip needs to be replaced. But then the more you look, it's not just that chip. It's like the little resistors around the chip. And then this one's pretty rough too. And then even if you did that, how many of these SCRs are you going to have to replace? You know? So this is a situation where I'd love to save this board, and I could save this board. You saw, like on the previous video, I saved that MPU that was destroyed, right? You could save this board by swapping this chip. I even have the parts boards here to do it with. So like I have this one, right? So I could easily pull those chips off. That's weird. This doesn't have the ICs on it. I guess the later design needed them or whatever. Or maybe this is the earlier design. You know, I could pull the parts off and swap it, but there's a lot of time here. Like you're going to spend a lot of time working on this. So I think what I'm going to do is try to find another one. So I've got a whole stack of them here. Let's see if any of them look usable. But, oh, I should mention, even the ones that look different, they all do the same thing. So if you have a early Bally or early Stern board, the lamp driver boards are all the same. So this one looks completely different than that one, and it doesn't even have some of the same parts. Like those smaller ICs are not even present on this board. But it works just the same. It's no problem. But this one, it's missing a bunch of stuff. And then it has a lot of corrosion on the back. Look at that. So it may actually even be worse than the other one. So we can't use that one. That's not going to happen. Then this one, we've already started stealing stuff off of it. It would take all day to try to even repopulate it. So that's not going to happen. This one looks pretty good, but it's got 9 SCRs removed from it. But that one's definitely a possibility. It's pretty clean. So we'll lay it to the side. Maybe that one. This one has a note from me from the past. A previous Ronnie wrote this. Parts, half the chips bad. October 28th, 2019. So that wasn't even that long ago. So I probably knew what I was talking about then. So I'm going to assume that that one is deceptively nice and doesn't work. I wrote parts on it for a reason, people. Now this one is from a previous me. In 2017, I wrote dead parts. It's the same thing. It looks pretty good. But apparently it's dead and it's for parts. So it could be that something fried all 4 of these major things. So by parts, you know, you can steal these off. Theirs are real easy to test. And so you can steal these off to populate other ones. And you can see that we've taken a few off already. Me likey. Yeah, that might be the one there. Wonder if that one's ever been tested. It's complete. There's a little bit of minor corrosion. See on those middle ones? Okay, that's an option. And then this one, I see a little more corrosion on. See how it's a completely different design though? This one actually was made by Stern though. So the Stern ones and the Bally ones are the same, even though they're different designs. Stern just ripped Bally off and copied everything they did. God bless them. Yeah, see, this one has serious little issues popping up. Look at all that. Let's store it with our other ones. Okay, this one. See the light area all the way down the middle? That's all corrosion. So that can be cleaned up, you know. But it's a lot of work. You know, you get stuff like this all over the place. Pretty nasty. And then I think there's one under here that's decent. Yeah, I think that's the one. This one looks pretty good, but the only problem is somebody has already resoldered the pins all the way around. And that somebody may have been me. So if I did that, why is this not happily chugging away inside of a game? Probably because something was wrong with it and I didn't write on it what was wrong with it. But this might be the one that we try. Usually I try to, since it's a Stern, I try to put a Stern one back in, even though they're all functionally the same, just for, you know, makes it kind of cool. But in this instance, I don't have a Stern one that's in good shape. So we're going to sub in a nice Bally one, if this one works. But we'll pop it in and try it out and go into lamp test and just see what we got going on. What do you think about that? Oh, one other thing I want to mention. So I was talking about, oh, I could work on it and fix it, but it'd take a lot of time. And you just saw me on the previous video. I spent a lot of time on the MPU. So the difference is the MPUs all go bad because they had that battery mounted on them. So to get a used MPU, usually it will be really damaged by the battery, and you can buy a new one. So most people end up buying new ones that cost about $200. Or you can put in the work and save yours, and we saved $200 by doing all of that hackery that we did on the last one, right? On these, it's not really worth the trouble because these boards, the lamp boards, they make new ones that are, I think, about $80. And a lot of people have replaced the old ones with new ones because the new ones have a diode built into the SCRs, or they use a different part or whatever, so that you can easily swap LEDs into the game. So a lot of people have taken their old board out, put a brand new one in, so that they can put LEDs in it, which means there's a lot of the old ones floating around. Also, even though a lot of these you just saw were damaged by batteries, not all of them were. A lot of them held up just fine. And these usually don't go bad. Like usually if you have a problem, it's going to be a few of these need replaced, which is pretty easy to do. They're cheap components, so it's pretty easy to keep these running. These big chips every once in a while you'll have a problem with, but not usually. This one might be destroyed, but we'll see. So my whole point is there are a ton of these around, and they're cheap. So you can buy these on eBay for 10 or 15 bucks pretty commonly. So yeah, you could go through the trouble to fix up one that's all screwed up, or you could buy one on eBay for 15 bucks, you know. So is it worth the trouble to fix like all the rot? If it was minor, yeah, it would be worth the trouble. But if it's going to take you hours of time to do, and then you need parts off another one to do it, it's really not worth the trouble, just because the value of the board isn't that high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take this one and pop it in the game, and then we'll put it in lamp test and see if any of the lamps work or don't work or what's going on. Now, I haven't replaced all of the bulbs in the game yet, so some of the lamps that don't work could just be because the lamps burn out. But we'll see if we've got a pretty good starting point with this one, and if we do, we'll work through it and replace all the bulbs and see if we can get every single light working. I had to replace a few of the connectors, the pins on the board, but then I popped it in and I put it in light test. Now the Bally's and the early Sterns, they all have an excellent light bulb test as opposed to the Gottliebs. The Gottliebs do not have as good of a light test. So if it's a Gottlieb, basically whenever you put it in test, it'll fall out of test in like 10 seconds. But the Bally's and the Sterns, they will sit here like this all day. So there's two types of bulbs. These are the general illumination bulbs. They're always on. On some of the later games, they had a relay that would turn all of them off and all of them on. But you couldn't make like one light up or something. And then they have these, which are the computer-controlled ones. So the computer in the test right now is flashing all of these so that you can tell that they work fine and that they're not locked on or locked off. But some of them are locked on or locked off. So these two are not lighting up. I believe both of those are the ball and play light. This is the tilt light. And that is the player 3 light. And when you mess with them, it doesn't make them come on. Which means you've probably got a problem with the wiring, the pin that connects to the lamp board or the lamp board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down. Ball in play, tilt, and 3-player. People have given me crap over my pad here. Look, these are some friends of mine. They own a printing company. And so people, they have told me that the name, this is their last name, and that the last name of the printing company is something vulgar in Europe. But after they explained to me what it means in Europe, I don't see why I would stop using it. So that's that. Okay, so the play field, I haven't replaced any of the light bulbs in. So a bunch of these are not lighting up, but it could just be that the bulbs are burnt out. So I'm going to tilt up the play field. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to tilt up the play field, replace all of the light bulbs, and then we'll do the test again on the play field and write down whichever ones of those are either, I don't see any that are locked on, but some are not lighting up. So we'll write down the specific ones that aren't working and figure it out from there. Okay, so it's coming back to life. So I very carefully replaced every light bulb underneath the playfield. While you're doing that, clean off the bottom of the lenses, the inserts. You can use a little Q-tip. I was out of Q-tips, so I just used a little piece of a nice paper towel that was wet, and you can just clean all the dust and the soot that the bulbs put on the bottom of the insert. If you're doing LEDs, you probably, well, you still have to clean it, but you probably won't get as much of that in the future. So I do have some that did not light up, and I wrote those down as I went through. Now, if you put a new bulb in and it won't light up, twist the socket of the bulb. Sometimes it's just a bad connection on the socket, where they're pressed together, and then also where the wire connects to it. But if no matter how you finagle, don't you love that word? No matter how you finagle the socket, you never get the bulb to come on, then it's probably a problem back at the lamp driver board. So what I did was all the ones that I couldn't get to do anything, I wrote down, and then I wrote down the color of the wire running to them. So these were the three in the top. So there was the 5,000 lights extra ball lane. So that's this one. Right? So it's out. It's kind of burnt looking too. So that was not working. And then I noticed too that there ended up being, this one had the same color wire. And so neither one of those are working. I was just noticing though, there's another one of these up there. I'll have to look at that again. But so there are two bulbs that do the same thing. Usually that means that there is one SCR in the back controlling both of them. And so it was green and black. The special when lit bulb there was green, and then, or I think that was this one, and then there was 2 more special winlets that had the same color wire going to it, red and green. So it was that one and that one appear to be connected together. The 5,000 lights Stingray lane, which is this one, but it's also up there and it's working. So I'm going to look at that again just to make sure that it's not a wire problem or something. And then the 20,000 point light, which is this one. And so it's green and purple. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pull out the schematics and we're going to look these up and write down the which SCR it is. So I pulled the lamp board back out and I looked through the schematics, and in the schematics it shows you how everything works. And so you can look up your light that's missing, and you can verify it if you have the wire color there next to it. And then you can track it back, and you can write down the pin number and track it back to which SCR it is. Am I right about SCR? Are they calling it that? Yeah, there we go. SCRs, MCR 106 are the ones in the middle, and the others are 2N5060. I believe you can replace the 2N5060 with a 2N5064, which is a little more modern. Let me look at my... I believe that's right. Okay, but I don't usually put new ones in them because I have plenty of parts boards. I just pull a used one off usually. However, checking through these, so I wrote them all down. Look at that. Have you ever seen anything that makes more sense than that? So I've got the ball and play. Light does not work. That is a brown and blue wire. That is Q16, and it's connector pin J2, pin 22. Now that makes perfect sense to me. I don't know what y'all are complaining about. Oh, and the 5,000 lights the Stingray lane, I was able to just twist that one and get it to work again. So that one was just the, since there were 2 of them, it kind of clued me in that since one was working and the other wasn't, it had to be something on the play field. Anyway, with all that said, I've went around and checked the ones that correlate, and none of them test bad. They could still be bad and they just don't test bad. I don't know. And they all connect to their respective pins. So you have to resolder the pins whenever you do these, because they don't make great contact. After a long time, they get cold solder joints. But that had already been done previously in antiquity, whenever I worked on this a few months ago. This board, I must have had it in some other game. So everything on this board seems fine. It could be that some of these are bad and are testing fine, but whenever there is voltage actually running through them, they don't test fine. So that could be, but what I think it is the pins, because I replaced some of them since they were obviously corroded, but I think that I think what I need to do is go replace each one of these pins. And I'm going to do them one at a time to see if my theory wins out. So we'll try that. I'll replace a couple of these pins and turn the game back on and see if those lights now miraculously work. Okay, we're back at it again. So, Sherlock Holmes time, right? So I made my list. I repinned all of the connectors, even though most of them looked fine. It did fix 2 of them, though. These 2 were fixed by replacing the connector pin. But the tilt light still does not work, which is Q47. The 5,000 lights extra ball lane, or whatever, does not work, which is Q56. The special when lit light does not work. Yeah, which is Q37, Q54, and Q55. One of these actually did work because it's one of the specials, but anyway. So Q47, Q56, Q37, Q54, Q55, and Q29 I'm having problems with, right? So if we look again on the schematics, I replaced Q29, even though it tested fine. I just put a new one in. It's one of these small ones, right? So I replaced Q29, and I replaced Q47. No, Q37. I put new ones of those in. I haven't tested it yet, though. But then I started noticing Q54, 55, and 56, and 47 are all right down here in the bottom of the board. And if you look, here's Q47. It has a little asterisk beside it, and it connects to chip 8, IC 8. So that's Q47. And then we have Q56, which is I am looking, what am I looking? Q56, which also connects to IC8. Ah, and so a pattern emerges. Q55, which also connects to IC8. Q54, which also connects to IC8. So, IC8, 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 IC8. Now, there was something else that you may have noticed. Very observant people may have noticed earlier. I didn't check the pop bumpers. The pop bumpers say 10,000 points or whatever when lit, or 1,000 points when lit, whatever. Which means that sometimes they're not lit. They're not lit right now. So sometimes the pop bumpers are general illumination. Sometimes they're controlled by the computer. Well, if it says so-and-so points when lit, that means that at some point the computer will turn them on and change the scoring. Guess what? I put new light bulbs in the pop bumpers, and they don't work either. So the pop bumpers also do not work. So we have two more clues to our Sherlock Holmes puzzle. The left bumper and the top bumper light up together, and then the right bumper. So 17 and 16. I don't want to do it with that pen. I don't want to mark on this thing. Here, I got this little crooked thing. So it's these two right here. Q49 and Q48. Glunk, glunk, glunk. They also run through IC8. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. I think I got it figured out. Now, I ain't the smartest son of a bitch in the world, but I'm thinking IC8 is messed up. U8, as they call it. So I'm going to swap one of those off of another board, and then we'll see if that fixes it. I wonder if I've got... Let's see, I've got... The same chips were on this, the board that was in it. Maybe I'll just steal one of those. So anyway, I'll swap that chip, and then we'll plug it back in and see what we got. That seems to have done it. The only thing that was a little weird, this light is part of the general illumination, so it's always lit. And these two, this one and this one, if you look, they light really dimly. That's because they're in series. So whenever this one and this one light, it lights those. They're like the power runs through. It's just weird the way they did it. I don't know why they did that like that. But it took a little bit to figure out because they weren't on, and it was because one of the sockets was, whenever one of them acted up, both of them went out. So that is the lights. So you know what time it is now. We got to mess with the displays a little bit. Let's see if we can get 5 displays together on this thing. Okay, so on the light bulb thing, there is a schematic for the light driver board. Doesn't mention anything about those two ones that I was saying were in series. And then there is a wiring diagram for the playfield. So check this out. So this is how they did all of the bulbs. So they all have a common, or I think that's the power, and then the board grounds the lights to turn them on. And so each light has a separate line, right? Okay, but look at this down here at the bottom. Why would they do this? I don't understand what they're doing. So, oh, you know what? They must be doing it so they can turn on all 4 of these at the same time with one one line, but I don't know why they would go through all that trouble. Just very strange. So two of the lights are in series. It's a mystery, people. It's a very strange mystery. Now look at this. The lamp driver board has all kinds of extra populated SCRs that all you need is to connect a wire to it. But this was one of the very early games, so maybe it was like a thing where they didn't have the computing power to run it all with the size of the ROM. I don't know. Very strange, though. I don't understand. And these two come out more dim because of the way they're running the power. It's a very strange mystery. We'll think about that a little bit longer. So I'm going to get out some displays. Let's mess with some displays for a while. It has 3 displays in it that seem to be working. So we just need to fix them up a little bit. So just like we always do, if you've seen us do it before or you've done it yourself, you have to resolder the connector on the edge, because you get bad solder. See how that first one looks a little fishy? There's like a ring around it at the bottom. Plugging in the plug and unplugging it makes the solder break, especially on the end ones. Yeah, that last one's, yeah, there you go. See it? See the ring at the base of the post on the last one, and the second to last one, and the third to last one. So all that needs to be resoldered. And then also usually resistors R1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 will smoke, but it seems like on the sterns it doesn't do it as much. I don't know why. They all look fine on this one. But I believe they're 1/4 watt, and it's better to put a 1/2 watt in. But we're running the voltage that runs them a little bit low anyway, between 170 and 180. It's a little, I think they respect to run at 190. I don't know though if that even has anything to do with the resistors burning up, but these look fine, so I'm not replacing them. If I had some smoked, I'd replace them, but these look fine. So I'll resolder that. We'll clean it up a little bit. We'll put it back in, and we've got 3 in there that look like they're fine. So we will see if that's correct. We can put it in display test and all that, and then I believe there will be at least 2 more in the other machines that we've got, the other Stingray heads that we've got. If you didn't watch the first video, you missed that. You should have watched the first video. We have other heads. So I'll work through them. If I run into any weird things on them, I'll come back and film it. Okay, so the 2 over there are good, but this one, the ball and play one, and the ball count one, and the match one, and the credit one, is screwed up. So we're going to try to fix it just for the heck of it, but it would probably work like that. I think this is the ball and play digit, so as long as that's working, I think you're all right. But we're going to take it out and see if we can fix it. So it's got the 1st digit and the 5th digit missing. Okay, so like I was mentioning, it's got these resistors here, R1, R3, R5. Now you can see that some have already been replaced. R7, R9, R11. So R11 would be for this digit over here that doesn't work. The resistor's burnt slap up. And you can see that they've already been replacing some of them, right? So, like I was just saying, this is a Bally one. For some reason, the Bally ones burn up more than the Stern ones. But it could just be that they played the Bally ones more. The Stern games didn't get played as much. That very well could be what the difference. So the way I'm going to fix it is I'm going to replace all 6 of those resistors. And so they're supposed to be 100K resistors. Alright, so I've got new ones in there. I like to high water them a little bit so that you can bend them out of where they're not real close to each other, because they get pretty hot, obviously. That's why they keep burning up. So we'll pop it back in and see if that fixed it. All right, so all of the displays are looking good. I've got them in the same positions too, so that one that's in the ball and play position is the one that was messed up. So the resistors fixed it. Got lucky on that one, but that is usually what's wrong with them if you have a problem. If you've got a missing digit, if you've got scrambled numbers where it's illegible or there's parts missing, usually it's the either the decoder chip or the little transistors. But displays are done. The bulbs are done. So the only thing major left, what I want to do next that will tag on the end of this video is when you start a game, none of the solenoids on the playfield work. So we need to figure out exactly why that is. So let's see if we can track it down. So we are back on the schematics looking for the solenoid voltage problem. Right? None of the solenoids are working except for two. The flipper relay on the solenoid board is working. Right? You heard that one. And the coin door solenoid is working. Remember, it was buzzing. But nothing else works, at least that we can tell. So none of the flippers, well, I don't know about the flippers, I never tested them, but the pop bumpers, none of that stuff's working, and it's not kicking the ball out. So the first place to check, remember we've already worked on all these boards, so we missed something. So this is the rectifier board, and the voltages, so here's the solenoid bus, and the ground as it comes back. This is on the cabinet. Remember, on this game, the chimes were down in the bottom of the cabinet, so they're not working either. So that's kind of a clue. The coin door coil is working. That gets its power through the cabinet connector, but the chimes that also get their power from the same place don't work. Right? And then nothing on the playfield's working. So anyway, I checked on the rectifier board, and the power is fine. Remember, it's a new rectifier board, or at least it's newer. At one point, it was new. So that wasn't a problem. So next, we move on to the solenoid board. That's the next place that the power goes, right? Now, if you look, there's this extra section up here that handles different stuff. So one of the things that it handles is the flippers, the flipper enable relay. Remember, that's turning on. And then the only other coil that it handles, if I can find it here, where is it? This one. The coin door lockout coil, right? So that one's working, and the flipper stuff's working. Or not, I don't know about the flippers. That one's working, and the flipper enable relay is working, right? Or is doing something. So they're getting voltage and they're trying to do their thing, right? But none of this other stuff is. So all of this other stuff, it gets its signal through this J4 connector. So these all come from the MPU. Pins 3, 4, 5, and 6 are momentary solenoid data, blah, 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 blah. Pin 7 is the solenoid bank select. It's low when selected, etc., right? So I think what that does, I may be wrong, but I believe this pin turns them on where they're, whatever, we'll see. Low when selected, it says. So anyway, that's some connections coming from the MPU. So I looked on that connector and everything looked fine. All the pins looked fine. Okay, so that wasn't it. This is the wiring for everything on the playfield. You see everything gets its wiring kind of from the same place. There is a fuse up there, but it was fine. And so I tested the voltage on each one of these coils under the playfield, and they all had 43 volts going to it. So they all had their voltage, which means, clang, 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 we are back to this bad boy. Let me brighten it up a little bit so we can see a little better. So remember, we had done extensive work. And if you look on the schematics, this PIA chip here, the one that was in the battery damage area, is U11. And so U11 controls the displays. Now think about it, they're all working. And then U11 also controls all of the solenoids. So it controls the momentary solenoids and the continuous solenoids. Okay, so I checked all of the connections between these pins and these pins, and they're all there with the exception of the solenoid bank select line. So pin 10 on the edge goes over to pin 19. That's a little strangely written, but it is 19. It almost looks like a 15, but you see the 15 up there above it. And see they're in order at that point. So pin 19 is not connected to pin 10, and I traced it out, and it should be connected. The whole problem is a bad connection from the pin to the line there. So I'm going to put a little more solder on that to get it nice, and then we're going to try it all again. We still have to do a battery in this thing and everything, but just to finish off this video, I want to get it where it'll come up and actually play a game. So I'll make sure that's connected, and then we'll test it and see if that fixes it. Okay, we put the board back in. We're going to turn it on and see if we get anything different. Now remember, it's supposed to play a startup tune. All right, it's coming back to life, people. Don't you see how fun this is whenever you're working on them? They slowly come back to life. It's like we're Dr. Frankenstein. We're helping it a little bit, and it's helping us a little bit, right? You see how it wants to work? Like it's trying to work. It just needs a little help. All right, so we're going to try to put some credits on it. Well, you get a lot of credits for 1/4 on this thing. Let's see if the other one does that many. No, the other one just gives you 1. Okay, so they must have it set up where that one's 1/4 and that one's like a dollar coin or something. I wonder if it has a... Doesn't appear to have a Susan B. Anthony mech in it. It's just the way they've got the dip switches set. Okay, so let's see if it starts. Ha ha ha! What do you think, folks? Would you consider that a working game? Now, the playfield's all beat up, so I don't want to play it too much because I don't like... Basically, if you've got dirt and crap all over the playfield, whenever you play it, everything that ball hits, it's grinding it a little bit. So if your playfield's filthy, you don't want to play it too much. Let's see if we can break that middle plastic. That middle plastic always gets broke. So did you hear the crack? So you might think, well, why did the knocker fire? It's because I just set the world record on this machine. I scored 23,000 points, which is more than this thing has ever had scored on it. And so I beat the high score to date. Now, remember, we took the battery out. This saucer is really cool on these. You can go in the front or the back. There's 2 open spots on each side. A lot of these early Sterns were really fun. Just really unique games. Obviously this one still needs a lot of playfield work. They've got it set on 5-ball. I say they, like there's some mystical person that owned this before me. It's hard to play with just the left flipper. Looks like the drop targets are trying to work and everything. All right, they slid it right by me. So it's getting there, folks. I'm going to do one last thing, and then we'll finish up. Coming soon. All right, so look for that on the next video. We will go ahead and do all the cosmetic stuff. The cabinet's a little rough. We're going to try to clean it up as best we can. We've got to install the back glass. Got a little work to do on it, but it's looking pretty decent. That's going to be kind of nice. We have to put a lock on it. We have to put... or a couple locks on it. We have to put a battery on the main board with a remote battery holder or something so people don't freak out. I still have to put the sticker on the EEPROM on the MPU. Don't forget that. That would be very bad. We have to completely clean up, wax, re-rubber the playfield, get it looking nice and beautiful. and then we'll be about ready to play it, and we will film a video of us playing it so you can see what the final product is on the next video. So we hope you've enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. We were trying to step through like every little piece of this in different videos so you can see all the work that we end up putting into one of these whenever we do get it up and running. And we're hoping to inspire people to do it themselves, because if we can do it, you can do it. And haven't we proven that it doesn't take much financial wherewithal to do it, right? We could spend a lot of money on this thing, but basically we pieced this one together with used parts off of other machines that had little issues and stuff, and we've got it up and playing. Once we get the play field a little nicer, it'll be a pretty nice machine, really. All said and done. And we're talking about a late 70s Stern, you know, it's kind of cool. You don't see them too often. They're not super valuable. You know, they weren't as successful as their Bally counterparts, but they're kind of fun. This is certainly a fun game. We've had this one before. So look for our next video where we have it all finished up. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. There is an Amazon link down below. Now, if you just click that link, you don't have to sign up for anything or anything like that. If you buy things on Amazon from time to time, don't go buy something just for the hell of it. We believe in people not spending a lot of money frivolously. We don't, right? Clearly, as you can see by these videos. But don't go spend any extra money. But if you do decide to spend some money on Amazon, click our link just before you go there, and it tells Amazon that we sent you there, and then they give us part of their profit. They don't raise the prices or anything. It's just an advertising thing that they do. So you don't have to sign up for anything or any of that. It doesn't raise your prices. It just sends us some of Amazon's profit. And people have been doing that lately, and we love it. There is somebody out there, I don't know who they are. I don't know if it's a man or a woman or what, but somebody out there is fixing the hell out of some lawnmowers and small engines, because they keep buying carburetors on our Amazon link to repair small engines with. So we appreciate that, whoever that is out there. So we keep seeing people buying all kinds of really interesting stuff, and this week it's been a whole bunch of carburetors. And I don't mean one or two. It's been like a dozen, right? So we appreciate that, whoever's doing that out there. And we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. We've been having people comment on our videos and tell us where they're watching from. Lots of people from Germany, but you know who has Germany beat as far as overseas watchers? Norway. Lots of Norwegians watching. I don't know why, but it might have been because we were doing the Rogo video recently, and it's kind of like a Viking thing, if I've got my European geometry right, or geography right. So we appreciate everybody watching from all over the world. I had somebody from New Zealand the other day telling us they were watching. We've had a lot of people in the States, of course, telling us they're watching. A lot of our Canadian friends, a lot of people in Mexico and Brazil. We've had a couple people from Brazil say that they're watching, so we appreciate that, folks. So leave your comments below. Let us know where you're from, and we'll call you out in a video. Now, did you know we have a second channel that we have started? My brother Donnie has started a new channel, and it's called, aptly put, My Brother Donnie. And he is a small engine mechanic who has lived a very interesting life. He's always got something crazy going on pretty much every day. And so he started filming the stuff, and we're having a lot of fun with him. I'm over there on that channel right now helping him repair an old mobile home that we bought on a lot of land. And we moved it in, and the thing was beat all to hell, and now we're fixing it up. There he is texting me right now saying, hey, when are you getting down here? We need to finish this thing up. And we're redoing the whole bathroom and ripping it out and building a foundation under it, and it's a mobile home. So if you're into those, go check it out. It's pretty fun. The channel's name is My Brother Donnie. But leave your comments below. Click our Amazon link if you get the desire to purchase something on Amazon. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and your comments, and we will see you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed it.